Let me get my, hey y'all, I'm here.
Awesome.
1 second. We are live. No, that's not what I want. Stop that. Okay, there we go. Hey y'all, I am here with a special guest. She is a business finance expert. She's helped me a lot in this pandemic. And if you've seen the flyer that we have for this, getting paid in the pandemic. So I know everybody's like, well, what does that mean? What are you talking about? Well, we're going to explain exactly what that means. But I want you to help me welcome my sister. She's a business finance expert, coach, strategist, Miss Vanessa McGee. Vanessa, welcome so much to the show. How are you?
I'm amazing. How are you?
Doing good. Now, before we jump into the content, I got to share a story. And I don't even think I shared this with you. Early on in this year, January, after January 4th it was, I was making a run in between a couple of things that I had going on, and went to in the store, came out, got in the car, engine gone. So I said, well, I didn't realize at the time that the engine was gone. I thought I ran out of gas because I'm one of those. I'll ride it to just that. Yeah. So I eventually found out the engine was gone, and I said, oh my goodness, I got to get a new engine. Mind you, I had just gotten a transmission maybe 2 years prior. We understand what those fees are for that. Absolutely. So I said, I had to think about it. I said, I don't really want to put money into a car. As far as a note right now, I say I could, but I don't really want to right now. So I said, I'm gonna go ahead and do this and buy and get the engine fixed. Well, we know how much that is. That ticket can be up to $5,000.
That's a car.
So I said, well, you know what? I'm good. It was the 1st of January. Gigs was coming in. I was booked through almost the summer, July almost. So I had gigs. I had my steady work. I had other gigs. And then a few weeks later, COVID hit. Changed everything. Now, I didn't mind putting the money in the car when I knew I had money coming. I was making money. I had money lined up.
Right.
And now my whole perspective on everything changed.
Yes.
Not only did COVID hit, but then our jobs were at stake. We had to shut it down.
Correct.
So we shut it down 1 week, 2 weeks. I was like, okay, a couple weeks. Got into the second month. I said, okay, this thing ain't planned. We don't know what's gonna happen. So now you're looking at your savings, you're looking at your job where there's no income because everything's shut down. And now you're at a point where you're like, what do you do? And you're an independent contractor, self-employed. You do your own thing.
Correct.
And you make money doing your own thing as long as you can do your own thing. But when they say sit down and go home, what do you do?
And don't go out.
So I was in that position, and I said, okay, I start reading articles and going on Googling things and listening to all these people. So I said, well, they said unemployment. I said, well, let me get on now. I'm up there all night. Got that. I said, okay, well, we'll see. Hope for the best. A few weeks later, denied. I heard about an EIDL loan. I put in for that. I'm a small business owner. I'm putting in for that. Boom, 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 boom. I didn't hear for that I think I just heard about that like last week. So it took months before I even heard about that. And then I learned about this thing called PPP, Paycheck Protection. And I started doing research, and I'm hearing how much money they talking about. I'm like, wow, that's something. Let me get in on this. So I started researching. I was keeping up with it daily, as far as what they said. It's going to open midnight. I literally stayed up, and I sat at that computer until 11:59. And when midnight struck, I got on ready to apply.
Right.
I did not understand at the time that they were only opening it up to certain banks that had to agree to be a part of this program.
Correct.
So I said, well, okay. Well, they said, find a bank in your area, put your zip code in. I did that. Found a lady that was not even 5 minutes away. Got her email, and I'm emailing her. Mind you, it's still midnight. I'm emailing her like, hey, I wanted, because I heard that you had to get in on this, or because it could run out.
They did.
So I wanted to get my application to her ASAP. So I did the application online. I downloaded it on the computer and emailed it to her. I don't even know this woman.
Okay.
I didn't email her everything. So I said, well, I'll call because they said it opens tomorrow. I'm going to call tomorrow and see if she's in the office. No answer. And I said, well, because keep in mind, in the back of my mind, I'm like, the funds they're saying are going to run out. I don't know who has access, who's giving funds right away. So I'm like, well, let me find out somebody else that might in the area. So I put another zip code. And then I see another list that I hadn't seen the night before. And I was like, well, they added some banks to it. I said, okay, well, let me call this one. Right. Every bank, every individual they had listed went to voicemail. And one gentleman's went to voicemail, and he said on his voicemail, because he already knew, he said, if you're calling about the PPP,
yes,
it is only, he made a distinction. It is only available to those who are account holders at this branch. So I said, oh, if that's the case, well, let me call and see if my bank is offering it. You know, I got a bank. I called them. The lady, she got on the phone. I asked her about it. Mind you, this is the first day it opened.
Right.
I asked her about it. She gets to stuttering and stuff. And I said, well, and she's stuttering to the point where she kind of trying to push you like, no, we not offering. I said, well, well, I don't know what that is. Then she tried to say, well, we not offering that. And then I said, well, I'm there to myself. I'm like, it sounds like you don't know what you're talking about. Who else in the office?
Who else working here?
Who else in the office? Right. So the VP gets on the phone.
Okay.
And he says, Mr. So-and-so. I said, hello. He said, you want to know about the such and such? I said, yes, I am an account holder. I've heard that you can get it through your bank. What are my options? Well, at this time, and he ran it down. He said, well, what kind of account do you have? I told him the account I had, all this kind of stuff. Well, because your account is a certain kind of account and it's only been had for a certain length of time, we can't extend the program to you. And he was open and honest with me to the point where he said, listen, this thing is happening hour by hour. He said, yes, we don't know what's going on. He said, we're working on a skeleton crew. And in order for us to even be able to handle the volume, we have to pare it down. So we can only extend it to account holders, but even those account holders have to have certain kind of accounts with a certain length of time. And I'm just so sorry that we have to do this, but that's the only way we can process this, because the government is running these things out and we're learning as it goes. You know, yes. So they've opened this up today. People are calling. In some cases, we don't even know what to tell them. But in order for us to be able to manage the service, we have to pare it down. So I said, okay. So I walked away disappointed. It wasn't nothing I can do. So I just said, well, maybe it's not for me. I can't do it. You know, I'm going on to the next thing. Then I learned through another person that I could go to another service. So I went through that service, was getting the application going, got to reading. You know, sometimes we get on them blogs and listening to folk, and I mean, they have good intentions, but they don't always have the right information. And I learned, so I thought, that I was not eligible because of certain things. Right. And I said, well, I can't even apply. So I stopped the application that was in process because this expert online said, you can only get it if you have these things. And if you got this, you can't get it. Right. So I stopped the application. And then lo and behold, I meet a young lady named Vanessa McGee. And you asked me if we were talking about some other thing, and you asked me, have you applied for I said, well, I started that a long time ago and I couldn't get it because I got, something else. And they said, no, that's not how it works. What they meant to tell you. Yeah. And that let me know that the person I was getting informed from had pieces of the information, but didn't explain it to the extent that would help me understand that I was still eligible. Right. So here we are today. I think it took 24 hours to get approved. And wow. I'm so grateful. And this is what, 3 months later.
Right.
So I said, I gotta bring my sister on to talk, because they're definitely, I know without a shadow of doubt, there are other people like me, self-employed, independent contractors. And I'm gonna say this for those that are watching. If you are self-employed, independent contractor, yourself, listen, stay tuned. If you know somebody who's a self-employed individual, independent contractor, who are they? Musicians, hairstylists, makeup artists, background singers, people who sing for these people that have been shut down, all these concerts that have been closed, people that work in the gig space for those concerts, the lighting and all that kind of stuff, pastors, yes, right. All of these people need to hear this message there has been an extension on the program that I was just so fortunate. If I had not met this lady, I would not have gotten.
That's right.
I was so fortunate to get. There's been an extension and we have a small window. So we're going to get into it. I'm getting ahead of myself. So with all that said, now that I got y'all attention, Vanessa, welcome.
Hi. Hey, everybody on Facebook. Thank you for your time. Your time is the most precious asset you'll ever have. I appreciate you spending that time with us today, and everything that we can do today to bless you and give you an opportunity to take advantage of what's happening right now from the disaster funding space. I'm ready and I'm willing to answer any questions that you have.
Yes. And leave the questions below, please. We're going to go through those.
Yes. And, you know, and Cornell, even to be for the innocence of the person that wrote that blog, it was changing in real time. So I started studying the CARES Act about 3 weeks before it was ever passed. I knew when they started issuing the emergency unemployment money, the next thing that was going to come down the space was Small Business Association money. And the reason why that happens is because all deemed disasters are usually covered by two agencies, which is FEMA and SBA. So SBA has been actually at this practice for over 20 years. It's just that this has been the easiest and widest space that we needed to be able to accomplish at the same time. Most people go through a disaster. It's a hurricane here, it's a tornado there, it's in the space, it's in an area. This is the first time we had to go all the way over the United States at the same time. So, you know, they might have been right on the information they were sharing with you, depending on what day or what hour that information came out. There could be a lot of misunderstandings. So in the blog space, what happens is people don't realize, but everything you say is permanent. So when people are doing the Google search, they're looking for, hey, how do I apply for the Paycheck Protection Program? Well, if it was written in March, it's one thing. If it was written in the end of March, it's a different thing. And then if it was written in the beginning of April, we now have, so every couple of weeks, every week, or every other day, new information is coming out, but that blog is still there. So there are a lot of myths to be dispelled at this point with the Paycheck Protection Program. And I'm looking to be able to open it up to the people who are remaining non-applicants. Now, when they first had the issuance, it was issued $359 billion in the first allocation. Okay, sounds like it, right? It went in 3 weeks. Not only did it go in 3 weeks, when they figured out how fast it went and who was the recipients, they tried to now come back and say, listen, we need to do this, this, that, and the other because we're having some big problems. The people who are decked down with accountants and attorneys and representation, advisors like myself, you know, consultants, people who are in the space who knew what was going on. They knew what was going on 3 months before the CARES Act was ever passed. The second that they knew there was a pandemic, it goes through certain circles first. And because of this, they were already in preparation for 95% of what was necessary to submit, like you were, the night of. So I think they wanted to say within something like 48 hours, they had, I don't know, 40, 50,000 applications within like 48 hours of release. It was insane. They'd never seen anything like it. They were not answering phone calls. Most voicemails said the same thing that the gentleman's was, I'm not doing it. We're not going to do it for you. We're not going to. Full banks committed to not being able to even offer the program for people who were not holding business accounts. So people who assume, hey, I don't have a business account, they assume that I'm not qualified. But that was never true. So this program is, the point of the program, the objective of the program overall was to retain payroll for major companies and self-employed individuals. The key is self-employed individuals. So self-employed by definition of the Paycheck Protection Program means that you've received either a 1099 or a Schedule C for the year 2019. Okay, so those two elements, these two people who file this way are both candidates for the Paycheck Protection Program. Okay, now there are some wonderful adjustments that have been made to the program as of Friday, this past Friday, that modifies the way that the forgiveness process of this happens. But two things need to be understood. When a person names something a forgiveness loan, that's what it is. It's a loan first, and forgiveness if you understand how to play within the rules. It was also specified to be spent on certain things. So it's not free money for you to throw into your bank account unless you are self-employed. If you're self-employed, all the money that came to you is assumed to be payroll. Now, that's in the adjustment. The way that it read before is 8 weeks of it would have been payroll. Now that they extended the term out to 24 weeks, all of that money can be deemed as payroll, although there are specifics in how it needs to be documented in order for you to secure your forgiveness. But basically, in order, if you apply right now, and you know everybody's going back to work, right? Okay, so now the whole dream of sitting home and playing with your children all day, making more money than you were making on your job just now, is a mystery. It's going to be a mystery. We're now opening back up. Everything is slowly but surely coming back into view, and you're not given the privilege to stay home saying, I don't want to be exposed to COVID. It's mandatory that you go back to your job. So the unemployment now says, hey, do you have the opportunity to go back? They cannot continuously pay you for you to want to be home. They can only pay you for you to be home by force. If there's no force element, now it's your responsibility to pay this bill. Where do I get 2 months of money from? What if I am a self-employed individual? I have an office. I have computers. I have a phone. I have electricity. I have all of these utilities and rent and things that are now backed up 3 months. So even if my company makes a certain amount of money, does that mean that I make a certain amount of money? Not even close. Not if you want to pay everything off, unless you just want them to put your whole office on the front porch. Because that's the next wave. So, you know, we're looking to be able to provide as many people as we can an opportunity to be able to take advantage. And another thing that I've found is a lot of people are in fear of taking advantage of reaping. We're great with the sowing part. We owe everything. We're due to owe. We're due to full when it comes down to owing. So we owe some money. We're going to pay that back. We owe the taxes. We're going to pay that forward. We're going to dutifully pay into the seed time. But then when the harvest comes, and manna comes out of the sky, and things are there to be able to provide you sustenance, we're not used to that. So a lot of times we'll deny ourselves the benefit of reaping, even though we've done the sowing. You paid that money. You don't think you paid that money? You don't pay that money so many times over.
Hundreds.
You just giving it back to me. Okay.
You just gonna pay it again.
And you're going to pay it again. And you're going to pay it again. And they're going to get in some other creative ways that we just not going to get into too deep on this phone. But at the end of the day, so, you know, what I want people to understand is if you're a self-employed individual, if somebody, Uber, Lyft, Postmates, anybody gave you a 1099 MISC or a 1099 document of any kind, that document is lendable at this point under the parameters of the Paycheck Protection Program. If they gave you a 1099 and you are a self-employed individual, there are specific banks and platforms that are still to this very moment, which I am just plugging in people as of today, to be able to assist them in being able to secure this funding. We just had this conversation. Me and you just had this conversation in order for us to make sure that you're in the window. We only have to June 30th in order for us to make those applications, put them into the situation so that they can be filled out and ready to go. Go ahead.
Good. No, I want to give people some, I guess, understanding of what this may look like, because you've had, I got a certain amount, but you've had some clients that have gotten, I mean, a nice amount of change from this program. Talk to us about what determines, because people, it's not like unemployment where you get a set amount. What is the determining factor as to what your loan is and how much they'll give you?
That's an important thing for us to discuss. First and foremost, if you have employees, this number moves very, very large. If you're starting to see in the news people who've gotten millions of dollars or several $700,000, $800,000 as far as an allocation, those are companies that have employees. Okay. If you are self-employed, the most income that they're going to utilize for this Paycheck Protection Program is $100,000 of your money. So if you're self-employed, you can, the most that you'll be able to secure for your own revenue would be $20,833. Okay, so that's the maximum loan amount for somebody who's self-employed. Now, if you have employees, and we're talking about W-2'd employees, not 1099 employees. 1099 people can apply themselves. So if you happen to have people that you know are in the office that have 1099s that you've given them, and they're not recipients of the Paycheck Protection Program, they need to come back to people like us or try to look for different resources so that they can understand how to apply for themselves, because they're eligible for their own paycheck protection loan. But if you have W-2 employees, I've gotten clients up to $50,000 for several W-2 employees to cover their payroll for 2.5 months. So that means that now they'll be back into business as of next week. For the first 2 months, the revenue that they're making will take care of all of their back bills. Anything that's delinquent, anything that's going to be outstanding, anything that they need to do. They might have food that was rotten, or they might have supplies that no longer work. All of that money can be recovered now. I don't know if you've noticed, there's a lot of clothing companies that are liquidating. Like, I don't know if you've been shopping, but get to the store. So, they are giving away. Well, the reason why they're doing that is because now they're trying to drive business back, because they have the advantage of not having to pay their payroll for 2.5 months. So the payroll is now covered by the Paycheck Protection Program. And now they can come back and say, now we'll liquidate and encourage more people to do more shopping and get our momentum back over the next 2.5 months, which gives us time to recover as an economic situation. So yes, no, I've had, and I've had people to end up getting, I don't know, $130,000, $150,000. In total, I've actually secured about a little bit shy of $500,000 in disaster funding for my clients. There's loans as small as $2,500. There's loans as big as $150,000. So it's not about how much you made. I don't care if you made $10,000 last year. Break it down into 12, multiply it by 2.5, and go apply for your money. Because I've never gotten rich, and I done cleared a couple of dollars, but I've never been rich enough not to have money. Money is the necessity. You're going to need to do that. I don't care if it's $500, and if I can fill out a piece of paper to go get it, let's do it.
Yeah. Now your agency charges a fee to do that, and when you broke it down for me, how much you charge and put it in perspective, you were like, you're really not paying for anything.
No.
And you charge $250 to do the service.
Correct.
And when you consider a person, even if they just got $2,000, you pay the agency $250 to help you through this process. And the reason why it was necessary, you guys, is because we're at a crunch. So if you only have 2 weeks left to get the funding, and you need somebody that's an expert that can put it in, do what it has to do, and get it done. When you look at that, if your loan amount is $2,000, you pay $250. Now you have $1,750. You really didn't pay anything. You just paid out of the loan. Now, is there a possibility individuals that have secured your agency for the service, can they use that transaction as a write-off for this loan?
Well, yes and no. And on overall expense level, it wouldn't be a write-off for this particular loan, but it would be a write-off against the revenue that your company earns, because it would be an administrative expense. So there would be considered an administrative expense. Let's go set Schedule C. When you're doing your profit and loss statement and you're itemizing the amount that you spend over the year, you would put that $250 there, and then it would lower your tax bracket as an annual revenue builder.
Okay.
Which is going to come out really well this year, because nobody made the money. Well, I can't say nobody. The toilet paper people did, but most people. make the money that they're used to. Them in Walmart, there you go. But no, the most companies will benefit greatly just being able to write that off as an administrative cost, along with any other administrative costs that you might have. But directly, if you're self-employed, and let's just take the 2,000 you mentioned. Well, let's say that 1,500 of it would have been income in the prior ruling, okay? So you would have had a $500 hangout saying that that needs to go towards expenses or utilities or your mortgage interest payment, not the mortgage principal, but the mortgage interest. And this is on the business, not on your personal home. But any rental of any office space or anything like that, that would have been the rest of the legal usage of this money. Well, Friday, they came out and the president signed into law a new bill which adjusts that to 24 months. Now, you're just crediting the 9th week with the overflow, and all of that money is deemed your personal income.
Okay.
Now that it's your income, you can go do whatever you want. You can go to lunch with your you can go shopping with your income is income. So as long as it's now clear and it's reported in a specific way, it's now deemed as income. So now you can do whatever you want to. You can take as your income and invest into your business in whatever way you see fit. It could be marketing. You can take it in and invest into the party you want to go to tomorrow night. Whatever it is that works for you, it's income now. So it moves everything that you're looking at. So now basically it's free income for 2.5 months. That's a good thing.
Wow.
That's good.
In case you're just tuning in, we're talking about getting paid in the pandemic, specifically about the Paycheck Protection Program. And you correct me if I'm wrong, Vanessa, but that is the only program that is still open, with the exception of the unemployment, which will run out in July. The Paycheck Protection is the only one that is still open for businesses. Let's talk about the Paycheck Protection Program and other, I guess, funding that may have come through the pipeline. So can you be eligible for the Paycheck Protection and maybe the PUA and the EIDL, or if you get one, can you not get the other? Talk about that.
Okay. Now, and there's been a really big myth, because several times I've heard this particular myth, which is that if you apply or receiving unemployment, then you cannot be eligible for the Paycheck Protection Program. So what I did was I went into the federal space and did my own research with a government site. That is completely untrue. You cannot pay yourself twice. That's the law. So you cannot use both sources to pay yourself at the same time. But again, we're going out 24 weeks now. So you just made a comment. You said it'll be finished for the unemployment will be finished, and the extra unemployment will be finished at the end of July. So it's really no reason for you to sit around and not really be making enough money to even feed yourself on a regular basis. You're going to have to get to some active situation where we're able to provide ourselves some type of income, right? We're opening up the doors in the cities as of Monday. The gyms are open as of Monday. So everybody is back to work. So now, if you're not unemployed, you don't receive unemployment anymore. But if you have the Paycheck Protection Program, you can be actually performing the service you perform and utilizing the revenue that is coming through your business to either pay back any debts you might owe, or to be able to invest into expanding your business. And you don't have to pay yourself a payroll out of that money. Nobody mandates that. So if that situation, whatever it was for those 2 months, you can use the Paycheck Protection Program revenue that they'll be issuing you in the form of a forgivable loan to be able to compensate yourself, while the money that goes through your business can either move you forward or seal your back. So that's the difference between the two. So it's not that you can pay yourself twice. You can get the Paycheck Protection Program, which, again, it's not the fault of the informant, because at the end of the day, at that time, there could have been some collision problems. But even at that time, you can still get the Paycheck Protection Program and use it all for your lease that you owe on your building, for the utilities that you owe on your building. These were legal uses of that funding. The issue is it would not have been forgiven unless you fell under the rules, but you still needed the money. Why not utilize the money, OPM? Why not utilize other people's money to be able to sustain yourself as a business and then come back and recover that money if it was necessary? But the way that they just altered the law, now we're looking great. So most people will get most of their loan forgiven if they're diligent on their documentation.
Wow. Let's talk about the process. If an individual looks at this and they're saying, I need to get in on this before the 30th, they contact you. What does that process look like for them?
Well, basically what you're going to do is you're just going to communicate with me. Let me know that you're interested in being able to secure a Paycheck Protection Program loan. And the first thing I'm going to need to know, and we, to be honest, we're very tight on my schedule and I'm loaded. I have a lot of clients that are trying to get in before that the deadline is cut off. There's plenty of money and no time. So the first two things that we need to be clear on is you have to have one of two things. Either you have to have a 1099 or you have to have a Schedule C in your tax return filing for 2019. So if you don't have one of those two things, don't do it. Don't even worry about it. Because I don't want us to get into a place where, and I don't take money from anybody who I don't have a good assessment that you qualify for this particular program. I'm not just going to take anybody's information or money and they don't qualify before we even start talking. That's just not what I do. I have a very high success rate. Probably 95% of my applicants have already been funded, and I'm putting applications in on a daily basis. So the first thing that you want to know is, do you have a Schedule C or a 1099? That's step one. Once you know you have one of those two things and you're not a recipient of the Paycheck Protection Program, email me at vanessa@vmcbee.com and let me know your situation. Once I know your situation, I'll send you back an invoice. I'll ask you for a couple of more pieces of documentation, and we'll send you through the few channels that are still processing loans. Most people's banks are not processing Paycheck Protection Program loans, even though there's something like $90 billion left in funding.
90 billion. And do you think they'll exhaust that between now and the 30th?
They're not doing it on purpose. I knew that they would close the time before they closed the money. When I saw that they got to 100 billion and got stuck and went 2 billion in 2 weeks, they're going to move that money. The whole point of closing it out by the end of this month is for them to relocate that money probably into the into SBA level economic disaster loan area. Okay.
Because this is the second run of the Paycheck Protection. You don't think there's a chance they may bring it back?
No, this is dead. This is the end of this. Now, this is what I will say. Groom your business now. Okay, this should be the biggest wake-up call that America's ever seen in knowing to groom your financial stability. Like if you were running and you needed to run from something and you needed to groom your body. That's the equivalent to what just happened to us. This is a huge shock. It's the biggest economic shock that's ever happened globally, period, in all of modern history. Everybody who is on this live, everybody who's watching us right now, you have made history. Nothing has ever been seen like this. First of all, anybody can, I would like somebody to type to me, show me if you've ever heard of any government ever issuing a $1,200 check for any reason. I've never seen a government ever, globally, ever, not in history, ever, never that happening. And everybody just got one in their bank account. There you go. In fact, they're backed up on sending those. It's people who deserve to get their pandemic, their stimulus check, and they still haven't received the stimulus check, and they still got money waiting to pass that out. So this has been historic, what's happened. And nobody is even talking about what's going to happen that they're going to feel the impact of. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a 2.5-month gift to you. What if they turn right around and the riots stimulate a new outbreak of the pandemic? Are you ready for that? We weren't ready for step one. Are you ready for step two? Start looking at things that have to deal with your financial wellness and take advantage of this moment. If you can qualify for this Paycheck Protection Program, I would never sit and allow for myself to walk off from this opportunity. I don't care how little the money is. As long as you make more than you spent, you are in profit.
Yeah. Wow. Now, the 30th is the cutoff date. Now, I just want to put this in perspective for some people. So people may watch this and on the 29th, they say, I'm going to do it. Is that too late? Does your application have to be in by the 30th, or do you have to be in and funded by the 30th?
The application is going to be in by the 30th. There'll be still funding rounds all the way until the money runs out or the applications run out and cannot be funded. So they're going to continue to process. You're going to see people just get drops in their bank account later on. Some of these people have slowed down on their staffing. They're going to continue to process all the way up to the 30th date. But July 1st, it won't even be a place for you to put information in.
Wow. Let's briefly talk about, because we're covering some of the finances for this pandemic, the stimulus check itself.
Okay.
So we got most people got the $1,200 and whatever else they got with the children and all that. They're talking about a second one. From your experience as a professional, do you think that is going to happen?
It's a loaded question, and I'm going to tell you why. This is the fight. I think it's better for us to even talk why we're fighting right now. What's happening is they're trying to monitor the way we spend our money. So the entire way that the stimulus check went, did you put it in something that reproduced? Did you consume with it? Was it just to stabilize you? They're looking at your patterns. So the next round of stimulus checks is going to be, I want to say yes, but the reason why is because there's so much economic instability right now that at any given second, empires can fall. So they're watching, are you going to reproduce with your stimulation? What are you going to be able to take that? I tell people all the time, I would really rather, in this case, be in a position. There are people who are executives who are not doing as well as the guy who sells water in the middle of the street. Because the guy who sells water still will be able to sell water the day that they let you out the door. The executive may be a member of a company who just filed bankruptcy. And their economy. So a $1,200 check is great for a person who has a $500 rent, but not so good for the person with the $5,000 mortgage. So are you going to use that to reproduce? So my answer is yes. Bigger than the stimulus check itself is that they're going to stimulate more, which is why it's important for us to be looking at our financial wellness right now, because they have to put more systems in place to sustain us as an economy. It's a force. It has to, because right now never have we seen this day before. So they're going to have to put things in place, systems in play, and they don't really know how to navigate. They didn't know how to navigate through the pandemic. They definitely don't know how to navigate after a pandemic. Now, if you cut your arm, how long does it take you to cut your arm? A split second, right? How long does it hurt?
Months.
Depending on how deep you cut. Correct.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Correct. So this is the deepest cut the United States has ever seen. So we got at least predictably from this moment on 10 years of pain to go through in order to recover from the moments that we're experiencing right now.
I mentioned to somebody when this first hit and I started hearing the numbers that they were giving away as far as money, and I'm not all versed on what the government makes and all that, but I said, are we gonna go bankrupt giving away all this money? We gonna have anything? Are we gonna be a third world country when this is all over? Speak to that. What? And I know you can go deep with it, but speak to that as it pertains to how, as an economy, we're able to give away so much money and what that means for us as a country moving forward.
Well, That's gonna and you're right when you say you touched and made me go deep. Okay, Cornell, you making me go deep on this. Money doesn't really exist. It's an energy field. So as you're giving it away, what you're doing is attempting to spark a level of stimulation. It's circulation they're looking for. They're not looking to give you money. They're looking to give you money for you to spend with an entity. They're looking for you to be a biological pass-through for that money, whether that is to be able to stimulate you to have more circulation or for you to be able to stimulate another business to be circulating. So let me give you an example. Let's say you got $1,200. In fact, I'm going to give you a better one because I was going to say something else, but I'm going to give you even a better one. There were a lot of signs that businesses were putting up saying things like, hey, it's $1,200 down. We'll sell it to you for $1,200 here. I know you got a deposit. It's just $1,200 because really they want you to take the exact money you received and transfer it over to more debt. So they're looking not because you're going to hold the money and reserve it. They're banking that you're not going to hold the money. They're banking that you needed it to accumulate more energy. Every time a dollar is traded, it's taxed. So if I trade it to you and it's your revenue, if they count this as income, everybody's got at least $1,200 income. If you got some babies, you might have some more than that. So everybody's transferred this income and this income keeps transferring itself out. Every transfer that they have is taxed, whether it's sales tax or income tax. It has to be taxed during transit. So every time that you exchange it, it's going to be taxed again and taxed again and taxed again. It doesn't disappear because it's circular. But it's an energetic field that's really just producing circular energy. So money is never real. Let me prove it. How many people on right now on Facebook can look in their purse and gather $100? Probably not 10% of your watchers right now have $100 in their purse. Most people have 3 cards, 5 cards. They have apps on their phone. They don't deal in cash. There is no real substance that is money. It's a lot of numbers and frequencies that you're really trading. That same frequency is the energy. They call it currency. They call it currency. I'm sorry, somebody knocking on my door.
That's all right.
So at the end of the day, that currency is exchanging itself over and over and over. So why they called it a stimulus payment was to stimulate the cycle of the economy again. And that's why they never lose the dollar. And to be honest, they trade on a level that you don't even understand. We don't understand. At any money that they put into a large escrow account is traded on exchanges. They're traded on global exchanges. So they're making money off of money, off of money, off of money, off of money, off of every time you wanted to make a dollar. In fact, if you notice in the beginning, when the Paycheck Protection Program was coming out, the first thing that they started discussing is the fact that they did not want to participate. Did you see how the banks were like, I'm not doing that? Well, the reason why is because the amount of labor that they had to do for the amount of money they were going to make on that money, and they didn't have any time to trade it, it wasn't worth their time.
Wow. So that's why the vice president of my bank got on the phone and said, we're sorry. Yes, you have an account. And yes, you are a member, but we can't service you in that way. Wow.
That's it. Banks are in the business of making money. I mean, think about a Bank of America. Bank of America may have a million clients. Everybody's getting charged $12 a month on their checking account. How much are they making? $12 million.
Wow.
Per month.
Wow.
Per month to babysit your money. So at the end of the day, it's really currency of exchanges. And that's why if you see a lot of people getting in that space, they all want to do point of sale systems, they all want to deal with the exchange of currency somehow. Well, I charge everybody to be in the exchange of currency. And I mean, not like Forex exchange, but like be trading in an intentional way. The biggest way that we can affect this world right now has nothing to do with our emotions. It has something to do with our dollars. Where you put your currency, where I pay my attention is what reaps for me. So that exchange is your force energy to control everything. Stop spending where you spend and spend in other places and watch how quick you can change the attitude of this country.
Wow. Okay. That's why, and we won't even go down this way, but I'm if you want to, we can, but that's why it's so important as the Black community. The marching is good, the protesting is good. And I'm not in agreement with the riots, but do what you got to do. Okay? But if you really want to affect change, come together in that economic piece and say, this is where we're going to spend our money. And this is how we're going to circulate, like you just said, our funds, and watch how quick things turn around.
Want to go in?
Let's go.
And when they had segregation, people think that they had integration for some other point. The only reason why they integrated us is because our circulation was so cold and our creativity was so high that they could not gain access to the creativity. They had to start to degrade our communities and allow us to be tricked into thinking the dollar has power. The day we started believing the dollar has power, we would disrespect who we are, who other people who look like us are, and the entire culture at large, and we would sell it for a little bit as long as we got the exchange of a dollar. But they give the most powerful thing for the thing that has no value, like we were just discussing. You're basically giving away real property. Your energy cannot be replaced. Your creativity cannot be replaced. If you own property, your property is real property that you can touch. You turn around and spend Big Mama's house, sell it, go buy a car that you just exchanged with a company that has no bearing in your neighborhood, that has no equity in your growth. You just paid your attention to something that can never compensate you back. And then you feel that level of bankruptcy in your own soul. Because at the end of the day, you have given the best of you for the smallest amount. If I work for $10 an hour, I said that my value is $10. The hour that I just gave you, this time that we're spending together, is this a $10 hour?
Mm-mm.
How fast can you eat $10? You can't go nowhere and get $10 worth of nothing. You're gonna get the styrofoam and the rice. You put some meat on there, you done paid more than. So at the end of the day, what we value, they value. They will never value more than you will. So if you are not willing to invest A in you, B in us, and I'm willing to invest all of me into them, never want them to take care of you, because they will never do it. The whole principle is built on you investing into them. If they turn around and took care of you, that would give you value, wouldn't it? That would bring the whole system down. So the value that you give, if you are not self-respecting, we won't be poorly respected. If we're okay with Johnny Rapper saying he'll kill us as soon as he take a deep breath, but then wouldn't bring it over there and cross the street, cross the water to none of them, then if we're okay accepting that as norm, then nobody else in the world is going to respect us. Because guess what? That's what they say. If you're okay with it, no breakout happens when the hoods get out. And trust me, I'm Dade County all day. I'm Miami all day. I'm from Miami, Florida. And I got it in. I'm not like novice for anything. Anybody know me? I got a resume. So at the end of the day, I understand everything I'm telling you. This is not something I'm telling you from an outside looking in or from a suburban kid. I was in the music business first. That's my first game. So
talk about that.
Yeah, the time where before even Ross and them came out, but the time that Luke and them was getting down, the time that Peter Thomas said, how can I be down here? I worked for Louis Oliver. I worked with every rapper pretty much that you knew from New York City that was coming through, the whole way that whole hip hop culture, everything you know about South Beach, we built it. I was doing music business at that time. So I was backstage in most nightclubs before most legal people can legally get in the door today. I know about places in nightclubs that most people who will walk through that front door will never even know that capacity of that club even exists. I was talking to owners. I dealt on a big level. So I understand the way that the music industry was cultivated in order for us to get to the moment that we are right now. And I'm the one that came through the Wu-Tang era and the late 90s and the early 2000s when people were just now breaking out. You know, when I was in the backstage of Source Awards, I went to the MTV Awards. At the end of the day, the stuff that I've experienced in my life, I have enough to say what I'm saying with validity. I'm not an observer. I'm an indulger. I'm an urban culture specialist. It's what I do. So I don't just do business. And a lot of people will tell you they're a business consultant. I deal with urban businesses because urban businesses have special nuances. They have special things that we have to solve as a culture in order for us to be able to be healthy and for us to be able to trade like that. You can't go out of the hood and then say, hey, you know what? This is what the hood needs to do, and this is what the hood needs to not do. Well, guess what? I was a suburban kid, so I was where everybody was working towards when I was young. I went from there to sitting on the block in the middle of the gunplay and being able to sit down, drink my beer, sit on the back of my trunk, duck from the bullets, get back on, and everything that I'm saying is validated. So I was in the dope houses. I know the dope boys. I knew what exactly was going on. It wasn't an outside situation. I was in the city when this stuff was pumping. So everything that I'm saying, I saw a cultural situation that has been mimicked over and over and over. It doesn't matter what we do. The crack game of the 90s turned out to be the pill game in the 2000s. Even the dope game they followed us in. So at the end of the day, this is now something we have to heal our value. And that was a lot of reason why the Paycheck Protection Program got missed, is because we did not even see ourselves as valuable enough to receive that free blessing that God said, here, you have, in this country, we don't work for no pay for 400 years exactly. 1619, 2019. 2020, you got paid for no work.
Yep. I was in the position, and to speak to what you just said, when I first learned about the Paycheck Protection Program, and even the others, EIDL, I said, well, I don't want no loans, because I don't want. That was my first thinking. I ain't trying to be bothered, because you think loans, you think, oh my God, I got to deal with interest, I got to pay them back over the next 5, 6, 10 years. So I was shying away from it initially, not really understanding how it could benefit until I started digging more and digging deeper. And I think that's the disadvantage many of us are from, because those who may have been in debt and got out and like, I don't want no more debt. This will blow over. I got a little savings. I'm good. They don't realize what they're missing. You know what I mean? So that's why I wanted to have you on and make sure that I get this message to our people and whoever else want to learn, but definitely our people of color who may have been like me, either tried and couldn't get through, or initially didn't want to do it because you were scared, you didn't want no debt, now you can understand what this means and what it really will do for not only you, but your community, Okay. So Paycheck Protection Program, I want to talk about the forgiveness side of it. Give us some details on how that works, because right now people are applying, they're getting their funding, but what is that forgiveness portion going to look like?
Okay, so we have two different recipients. So I'm going to talk about them separately because it's very important that there's distinction between the two. I'm going to talk the modern version of this. I'm not going to go back to the original. So understand that I'm giving you updated as of Friday information for the forgiveness process. that's going to change what you were assigned when you applied for the loan. If you've received it already. If you haven't received it yet, you're under the new rules all the way. But if you did receive it already, these things have changed for you. So 60% of this money now has to be used for payroll for any of it to be forgiven. Okay. 40% of it is available to be used for the three things that are outside of payroll that were approved to be utilized, which is number one, utilities. That's not just electricity. That's your phone, that's your internet. All of utilities that they deem as utilities are utilities. So please pay your cell phone. Thank you. The next thing is the lease on your business real estate. Now, if you don't claim your house on your taxes in the section of your house that can be claimed on your taxes, don't pay for your house. Don't just slap money against your house and think that they're talking about that is what the lease. That's not the lease.
That's important. That's important because there are a lot of people who work from home.
Correct.
And they think just because I have a home-based business, that's important. Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's for real. And then the third thing is mortgage interest. Okay, that's the other thing that people were getting majorly confused, because people look at that statement and you think, okay, if the statement says $1,000, then there's $1,000 that I can get forgiven. That's not true. If it's $500 to the principal and $500 to the interest, only $500 can be applied legally with that money. If you pay the other $500, you have gone outside of the parameters of the legal boundaries of your loan. So nobody said you were approved to do that. These are the three things you're approved to do. I'm saying that to get on the forgiveness side. So now this money has to be spent now over 24 weeks. Within 24 weeks, this money needs to be spent. Now, when I mean spent, I do not mean that a self-employed, which is where we're going to split up. The self-employed people, if it's in your business bank, if it's in your personal bank account, then that's already deemed as income. It's already personal. So as long as you document it correctly in the forgiveness application, it's going to be deemed as forgivable. If you have something like an LLC, if you have a single member, meaning one owner as an LLC, you're treated like a sole proprietor. You're treated like you work for yourself. A lot of people did not clarify that, but that's the truth. If you have an LLC and you're the only owner, that you're taxed as you work for yourself, okay? So let's say that the money got issued to your business bank account. You need to pay yourself 2 different months, whether you do it twice a month, once a week, you need to pay yourself into your personal bank account in order for that to be counted as income. Okay, these are the things that are going to be critical for you to be forgiven. That's the personal side. That's the sole proprietor side. If you have employees, that changes drastically. If you said that you have 5 employees, you better have 5. And they better be full-time. Whatever you claimed, that's what they better be. Anything you applied for the Paycheck Protection Program, ladies and gentlemen, whatever you said, make sure that that's on your tax return. Just word to the wise, okay? I can guarantee this is about to be the biggest audit in U.S. history. You thought it was just going to be the giveaway in U.S. history. No. They want me to get you, okay? All right? Play with it if it look like something to play with. Don't play with it. No, I'm telling you. It's better than money. Don't let it there. They ain't never slipped on no money. This is the okay. So at the end,
they're gonna be sitting at the corner out at the house waiting for you to come out and go to work. Follow you.
It's gonna be in your bank account. Remember the same when they put the stimulus check in? Okay, they gonna have a section right on that same bank account. Why I can't get no money? My number don't work. My number don't work at the ATM. Play with it if it looks like something to play with. Make sure whatever you said on that first paper, you said on that second. Okay? Don't play with them. I'm telling you now, it's going to be ugly. You say how they going to get their money back? In a foul sweep. So that, if you have employees, you have to hire all of the employees back, or you have to give that employee the opportunity to come back in documentation that's put together in a specific way. And that employee has to sign that they're rejecting the employment. You still have to have the count. So if you said 5, all 5 have to be in working status for you to be able to do that. If you said 5 employees and you got credit for the revenue to pay the payroll of 5 employees, you have to pay 5 employees. You cannot keep some of that money back. So now the second level, you're going to pay that for 2 months. Now you have a third month and a fourth month to go into. So if you need that money for a facility, which usually if you have multiple employees, you do have a location of some type, then you can still use it for the utilities, for the lease, and for the mortgage interest. All that is covered under Paycheck Protection for those who claimed employees there. You have to have very diligent records of the taxes, of all of what you paid those people, and the fact that it went over to those people. And if it's not documented, you're going to have big issues.
Wow. So from your vantage point, what's the time frame before we will have to start seeing this money being paid back, or the loan can now be considered forgiven? What's that time frame?
24 months from funding date. 24 weeks. Count them. Go find the day that you were funded, start the next Monday, and take a calendar, a digital calendar, and mark off exactly 24 weeks. Week 25 or less, you want to start applying for forgiveness.
Okay.
Because if they close down the window, they're saying that is either 24 months or by December, which everybody pretty much will fall under December. But if they close down the window to open to get the forgiveness, they still have the discretion to have the amount of time that they're going to allow you to apply for forgiveness.
Okay.
So don't play with them. Soon as you know that money's gone, get that 11-page document, either fill it out or contact us so we can assist you in filling out the forgiveness. Because again, you made the greatest point. If it goes and we're helping you fill out the forgiveness stuff and you don't fill it out correctly and you end up having to repay this money, I'm still saving you $1,500 of repayment money. I'm still saving you $5,000 of repayment money. So I had one client, she got $17,000. The first thing that she did was pay for me to get her set up so that she doesn't have to pay it back. She did it as soon as she funded, because that funding of $17,000 is income. And because she had the discretion to choose to do what she wanted to with her own income, then she could do that. Now, while you're paying your payroll, while you're paying your utilities, and while you're paying whatever it is that you're paying back, you're making money in your business. Don't draw out of your money that you're making in your business. Let that money be your booster. That is where your personal economy gets blown. That's perfect. It's a perfect booster. You ever had those people who come to you and say, if I had the money, I would have took over the world, child, but I don't have the money. Well, you got the money now. So I'm looking for whatever super invention that you had up your sleeve should be on deck today, because now you got the money.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Guys, we were talking about the Paycheck Protection Program, how to get paid in the pandemic. There are individuals clearing tens of thousands of dollars, depending on their situation. This young lady helped me, and I didn't think I could get it. I didn't think I was eligible, and she helped me. I'm telling you, it is worth the investment to pay out that little $200-something to get this professional help to try to get you funded for this loan. I'm telling you, it is necessary. Just for clarity, when somebody calls to get the service and they want to get the loan, start the application process, how does that work? Are they automatically on board for the forgiveness application, or is that a separate transaction with your agency?
It's a separate transaction because there are two different forces of energy that need to be applied to both. So when they do the beginning, we're just going in to be able to give them the exact language and to make sure that they have the exact criteria for us to be able to get them approved for the loan in the first place. Also, there are most facilitations of this loan are closed. So I have certain lenders that I deal with specifically that are still taking in applications, which is rare. It's probably going to take, I don't know, at least a week for you to find one lender that's still taking applications. So that's a big deal from the front. The back, we come in, and a lot of people will not need me to help them with the back end of this, but some will. So if we do, and then I have people who did not apply with me, but they're coming to me to set up the forgiveness for them because they know that the difference between them investing in me doing it or them doing it wrong and they end up having to pay it back may be 17, 18, 20,000, 50,000, $100,000. The Paycheck Protection has funded up to $4 or $5 million. They actually funded up to 20 million, but people started passing that money back. But they've been in the millions. They fit in the millions. So imagine that, you get with a person like myself who can assist you in setting everything back up so that particular repayment is unnecessary. Look how much money you're saving. Mm-hmm. So those are two different transactions.
Wow. I'm going to see if we got any questions. Guys, if you have any questions, please, she is willing to help. Business finance expert. I'm telling you, she can help you guys. I don't see any questions. Lots of comments and people liking and stuff. Great. Well, let's do this as we prepare to get ready to close. Getting paid in the pandemic. So let me just give out a scenario as an expert. We're here opening up. If we have a second wave and everybody goes back in, I mean, I'm hoping they will put us back in if it's a second wave. They won't just let us run free. Is it a chance these programs may be reinstituted? No.
What will happen is they will revamp the program because, see, before they didn't have a tester. Now they do. What has always been in play and what it will be here every time. If something happens in your neighborhood, if there is a tornado, if too much wind passes by, the disaster loans will show up. They do it all the time. It's just, this has been the most flexible in the terms. So that's what's going to always show back up. They will let you go in. They will let you extend more money. They will let you, with the disaster funding, go back in. So the SBA side, yes, that will reopen. It's going to always reopen. What won't open again, or my prediction, I should say, won't open again is the Paycheck Protection Program. Why? Is because it's messy. The way that they set it up is very messy. And now when you have major corporations who really were the target, yes, they were. They were trying to do this, eat up the money and make sure you had nothing. That was I saw it coming down the pipeline. I saw it. In fact, what made me stop doing the development, because my profession is to develop companies. That's what I do. And it made me cease fire to say, my people getting ready to get cut out. I have to study this. I have to come in and I have to jump in. And I was able, most companies are charging $1,000. Most. And they will not take you if the money is too low, because they were not looking for people who are self-employed. They don't care about people who are running small businesses. They didn't care if your mortgage wasn't going to work. They didn't care if your children were homeless. They didn't care. All they wanted to know is, how much can I put in my pocket? So if you are not in position to pay me $1,000 out front, then go buy. Because you're not worth my time. Well, my people are always worth my time. So I brought that number down drastically in order to be able to provide even the smallest of businesses the opportunity to be able to do that. That stimulus check gave your ability to invest in yourself how many times over? Now, did you invest in yourself with it? You see what I'm saying? So this right here, yes, there will be. And not only that, let's go back to what your question was. On the other side of the equation, is this the end of it? Not even close. They're going to be flushing out money for at least 5 years. If you're not in position to catch it, it's because you don't have things together, like your credit may not be clean. You may not have healthy credit. You may not have a discipline of paying your bills on time. You may not, the things that would hold you back from doing business at large will be the things that hold you back from the next 10, 20 opportunities. They have to recover this country. So you getting in personal financial health right now, you made a point when you said, I don't want to go back into debt. There's not a millionaire on earth that's not in debt. Not on the whole planet. Not one. If they're not in debt, the business is. One of the two. Because it takes money to make money. That's a philosophy. I went to FIU. I have a business degree in business administration. And the first thing in my first class, my first business class that I ever took, that teacher said, this is how we get paid. This is how we make money. That's what he said. This is how we make money. We borrow $1,000. We pay 5% interest. We make 20% on the money. We give it back to them. And we make 15% for free. That's our equation.
Wow.
And what did they tell us? Oh, you're going to be debt free. I said, stop cussing at me. Don't cuss at me.
Because that means you ain't going to have no money.
That means you did not borrow the $1,000. You do not have anything to flip with, and you holding on to your nothingness for dear life, instead of borrowing and having enough confidence in your performance for you to pay somebody back diligently what is due to them, because you always want somebody to pay you what's due to you. So if you are making cakes, I'm doing hair, I'm singing, you want, when you finish that performance, you want to be paid, right? So pay, because if you give, it shall be given unto you. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. You want to run over, right? So we have to be able to invest. You got to put a seed. How many trees come from no seed?
None.
If I'm free, I have no seed. So there is no future tree for me to be able to eat every time in its season, because I don't have anything to invest into myself, because I'm trying to hold on to my nothingness. Remember, money is currency. If it ain't traded, it ain't valuable. So if it's not traded, it's nothingness. You're holding on to your concept of nothingness. And then we believe we are nothing. We have nothing. We do nothing. We don't believe that we're valuable. I see the same nothingness out of somebody else as chocolate. Then I see them as something. And now we have this twisted up mindset, which doesn't invest in who we are. So if we're ready to give who we are into what we are, it's going to turn right over every time. You will multiply everything that you give. So every time, so you borrow something from somebody, everybody was talking to me about this. So funny that you said that. Everybody came to me. I'm telling you, at least 20 people came to me and said, Vanessa, can we reject the loan? I said, why would you do that? Have you ever heard of a business loan amortized that is paid out? The payments are broken down into 30 years in your life?
Never.
So why would you reject the best blessing that has been given to you? They didn't even take you to be A1 credit. You didn't even have to walk in the bank. You did some 4 taps on the computer and they sending you payments. So if you get an email from the SBA that says submit your information, that says sign into your portal, go sign in because you got a loan. That's how easy your situation came. If we come back through this again, it's just going to give us more seed. Take the seed that we have, love it, and plant it into the ground, put it in the good soil. You are good soil. The people who are watching this live are good soil. You are worthy. You are worth every investment that you're going to make into yourself from this day and every day from this point on. I don't care if you're making an investment in your information, in your discipline, in the way you eat and the way you think and the way you speak. You're good soil. You put this money in the good soil and turn it over. How many times, how many blessings have we done this for somebody else? This is your day. Everybody talking about the shift in wealth. Hey, looking like we shifting, So you better be able to do something with it when it comes. What's the use of waiting, standing on the corner, waiting for the money bag to fall off for you to take it and go give it to Gucci? Not Gucci. I ain't got no problem with Gucci. But at the end of the day, you know, we can't give away the seed and expect to see a tree somewhere and then be begging somebody else to feed us. The day of slavery is over. So if you think there is another era of time that we'll go through where somebody's feeding us as a culture, never happened. It's our time. And those who can take this moment and launch.
Whew. All right. The Paycheck Protection Program, getting paid in the pandemic. Okay. So if we have somebody that's interested, that's saying, I need to see what my options are, I need to take advantage of this, how can they contact you?
Absolutely. You can email me. That's the fastest way. A lot of times I'm away from my phone because I have so many different clients right now that I'm helping and so many people that I'm scrambling to do. And pretty much everybody that I end up helping sends me somebody, at least somebody, maybe 5 people who are coming on top of it. So what I usually do is send everybody through Vanessa, that's VANESSA at vmcbee.com. So that's vmcbee.com. That's the easiest way to get in touch with me. If we have any questions, we'll definitely make sure that's in on the Facebook so that we can go on ahead and make sure that they have the right link. And get in touch with me as soon as you know. Now, in order for you to begin, I want to reiterate, I want to go back to the fact that we need you to either have a 1099 or a Schedule C. Because I will not take $1 that I don't think I can reproduce for you. So if it's not something that I think that we can handle, don't worry about it. I want to take only those people who really need me right now because we're down to the wire and I have to get as many people that I can help.
Wow. Paycheck Protection Program, getting paid in the pandemic. The deadline is June 30th, 2020. Yes. Many of us have taken advantage of it. We came here tonight because we wanted to dispel the myths, get clarity on what it is, who qualifies, how they can get it. I hope we helped you tonight. And if you have not taken advantage, I hope from tonight you will realize that you need to, especially if you're self-employed. Because Absolutely. One thing I want you to realize is even though we're opening up, things are opening up. If you're self-employed, independent contractor, that does not mean that your client is walking back in the door. That does not mean that just because your door is open that they're ready to run in them. So you may be open for business, but that doesn't mean income is coming right away. So something like the Paycheck Protection Program can cover you for a period while those clients or while those people that you're looking to service prepare themselves to get over. Because as media continues to do what it does and things go haywire, people are going to be trying to, well, I don't know, maybe I'll wait. They said the numbers we got a resurgence. People are going to be trying to take cover. So You need this. I can't stress it enough, especially for my musicians. And I'm in entertainment. I'm in beauty industry. I'm in all of those facets. So I know how that business works. All those gig workers that work on those large productions that I work with. All those makeup and hairstylists. All those singers, background singers, musicians, pastors, ministers. You have a flock. This is something that can help you. The Paycheck Protection Program. Reach out to Vanessa at McBee. That's VANESSA at MCBEE. Did I get it right? .com.
V McBee.
V McBee.
Vanessa at V McBee.
Vanessa at VMcBee.com. And put in the subject line PPP. I think that'll be a good way for them to be able to put in the subject line PPP. Just let her know what you're looking to do, and then she'll take you from there. Trust me, you're in good hands. I'm telling you. Well, V, any last words that you want to offer?
I just want to go back to getting paid in the pandemic. And I would like you to take this moment, take tonight and take a deep breath. Take this time and invest in yourself. And take this opportunity, take this adversity and turn it into an opportunity for you to set yourself and your business up in unprecedented ways so that you can live for the rest of your life on your own momentum.
Well, V, I appreciate you. Thank you for myself and all those that you're going to help, I believe, in the future from this particular. Thank you for taking out the time to be with us. And my best to you and stay safe over there.
And thank you for your warm invitation. I appreciate it. Thank everybody who spent their moments with me today on this Facebook Live. And God bless you. And I want the best for you and know that you're worthy.
All righty. Take care, you guys. God bless.